They called him a monster. Not behind his back. No. They said it flat out, right in the middle of the Jackson Ridge Federal Substation, where secrets were supposed to stay buried inside concrete walls. But Titan wasn't a secret anymore. He was the loudest thing in the entire damn building. It started, like always, with the barking. Not normal barking. Not, hey, someone's here barking. This was a roar. Something that ripped out of a German shepherd's chest like lightning splitting the sky. One moment the station buzzed with noise. Phones ringing, radios crackling, boots moving fast. Then Titan let out that sound, and everything stopped. Pens froze mid-air. Coffee cups halted halfway to lips. Nobody breathed. Even Chief Hammond, an old man who'd worked there longer than most officers had been alive, stiffened like someone had punched him straight in the spine. And Titan? Titan stood in the far back kennel. Steel walls, steel bars, double locks, pacing like a caged storm. The whole floor shook each time he slammed his shoulder into the metal. Boom, 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 someone whispered. He's gonna break the damn cage one day. And honestly, nobody disagreed. It didn't matter that Titan used to be a legend. Didn't matter that he once saved an entire FBI convoy. Didn't matter that he had a silver badge with his name engraved on it. Because the dog in that cage, that wasn't the Titan people remembered. This Titan tore at his own fur, spun in circles so fast he crashed into the wall. And when helicopters flew over the ridge, that's when things got scary. You'd hear the first echo from the sky, and Titan would freeze. His ears shot up, his breath caught, his whole body turned rigid like he'd been hit with electricity. And then he'd slam himself into the wall, teeth bared, eyes wide, making this horrible sound, like a scream wrapped inside a growl, like he wasn't in Colorado anymore. Not in a kennel, but back in that collapsed mine in Wyoming. The one nobody dared talk about. Chief Hammond watched from the end of the hall, hands on his hips, jaw tight. "Damn it," he muttered. "He's getting worse." A young officer, Morales, swallowed hard. "Chief, should we sedate him?" "No," Hammond snapped. Not angry, scared. "Sedating makes it worse. You saw what happened last week." Everyone remembered. Titan woke up from sedation, and he wasn't conscious, wasn't in control. The dog threw himself so hard at the barrier. The steel bent 2 inches. 20 officers worked in that building. Trained, armed, experienced. And none of them wanted to walk the hallway Titan lived in. Chief Hammond exhaled slowly, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "This isn't a dog anymore," he whispered bitterly. "This is a grenade with fur." And right then, as if to prove him right, Titan snapped his head toward the hallway and let out a growl so deep, so dark, the lights seemed to shiver. Morales stepped back fast, nearly tripping. Jesus, he saw me look at him. "Don't make eye contact," Hammond warned. "That sets him off." But it was already too late. Titan lunged, teeth smashing against the muzzle, chain straining so hard the anchor bolts screamed. For a moment, it looked like he might break free. The entire station held its breath. Titan's paws scraped the floor, claws screeching. His chest heaved. His head shook violently, trying to tear the muzzle off. Spit flying everywhere. Then suddenly, Titan stopped. Just froze. Body rigid. Muzzle tilted upward. Ears trembling, like antennas catching a ghost signal. "What's he hearing?" Morales whispered. They all knew, and 2 seconds later, they heard it too. A chopper. Far away, but coming closer. Titan's breathing changed instantly. Rapid, shallow, panicked. "Get back!" Hammond barked. "He's gonna—" Bam! Titan hurled himself at the bars with the force of a bear. The entire cage rattled. A metal feeder dish flew across the kennel, clanging against the wall. "Titan, stop!" someone yelled. But yelling never helped. The helicopter thudded overhead, heading toward the mountains. Titan's eyes turned blank, glassy, haunted. Like he wasn't seeing the kennel, or the officers, or the station. He was seeing Travis, under rubble, calling his name. Hammond stepped back slowly, like a man backing away from a wounded lion. "All right, that's enough," he murmured. "If he keeps this up, he'll kill himself." Titan slammed into the wall again and again. A smear of blood spread across the steel. "God," Morales whispered. "Why won't he stop?" Because Titan wasn't fighting them. Time by 100 limbs. He wasn't attacking. He wasn't angry. He was remembering. And memories were killing him faster than any enemy ever could. No one in that building, no human anyway, knew how to reach him. But someone was coming. Someone tiny. Someone none of them would ever expect. And her footsteps would change everything. If you want to understand Titan, like really understand why he's like that, you gotta go back. Back to Wyoming. Back to the day everything snapped in half for him. And look, I'll warn you, this part isn't pretty. It's the kind of story you don't tell unless you trust someone. But, here we go anyway. The air that morning was freezing. Not just cold, knife cold. The kind where every breath feels like it cuts your throat. Just a little. That was the weather the morning Agent Travis Miller and Titan were sent into the old Iron Valley mine. The place had been abandoned for, 20 years? Maybe more. Rotten beams, rusted metal everywhere. Graffiti from kids who had no idea how dangerous the place really was. FBI intel flagged the mine as a hideout for a trafficking ring. So yeah, this wasn't a routine patrol. It was the type of mission Titan and Travis were built for. They were a unit, a real one. Not like the forced K9 pairings you see sometimes. No. These two. They breathed in sync. People used to joke that Titan didn't walk beside Travis. Titan shadowed him. Where Travis stepped, Titan stepped. Where Travis looked, Titan looked. Every command was instant, automatic, like they shared one brain. And Titan? He adored Travis. Not just respected him, adored. That was his person, his family, his anchor, everything. Inside the mine, it was pitch black, so dark. You felt it pressing against your eyes. Travis clicked on his flashlight, and Titan moved ahead. Nose low, tail stiff, ears twitching at every tiny echo. "Easy, boy," Travis whispered. "We're good. Just stay close." Titan's ears flicked back. He understood. He always understood. They went deeper, past the first chamber, past the old support beams that creaked every time the wind shoved the mountain. Travis kept glancing at the walls like he didn't trust them. And honestly, he shouldn't have. Then suddenly, Titan froze. His whole body stiffened. Hackles up, a low, rising growl rumbling from his chest. "What do you smell, buddy?" Travis whispered. But Titan didn't move, and that's when they heard it. A faint clatter deeper in the tunnel. Travis reacted instantly. "FBI! Come out with your hands where I can see." He never finished, because the world exploded. Not like in the movies. Movies make explosions look clean, controlled. This was a burst of hellfire. The ceiling cracked. The mountain groaned so loud it sounded alive. And then, the entire chamber collapsed. Travis shoved Titan backward. "Move!" he shouted. But Titan didn't leave him. He lunged forward, grabbing Travis's vest with his teeth, trying to drag him away. Too late. A support beam snapped. The floor lurched. Travis fell. Titan dove after him, scrambling, claws scraping rock, teeth locking onto Travis's sleeve. He pulled hard, so hard the fabric ripped, and Travis slipped right out of Titan's mouth. Then the rocks came down. A storm of dust, metal screaming, the earth swallowing the light. And Titan? He didn't run. He didn't hide. He dove into the falling rubble, letting out a sound. This raw, ripping howl, like he was begging the mountain to stop. He clawed at the stones, ripped chunks of rock with his teeth, dug until his paws bled, bright red soaking into the dirt. "Travis!" If Titan could speak a human word, it would have been that. When he finally reached him, Travis was half buried, dust in his hair, blood on his jaw, eyes barely open. Titan pawed at him, whining, nudging his shoulder, trying desperately to lift him. Travis looked at him. God. That look, like he already knew. He touched Titan's muzzle with shaking fingers. "It's okay, boy," he whispered. "I'm right here. I'm right." The ceiling groaned again. A second collapse. Titan tried to pull him out, biting Travis's vest, dragging, bracing. But the rocks fell faster, harder, pinning Travis down. Travis coughed, eyes flickering. "Titan, go." Titan snarled, pulling harder, blood streaking the stones from his own mouth. He didn't stop, didn't care. He would have ripped his own jaw off if it meant saving Travis. Then Travis's hand, the hand Titan was pulling, slipped, just fell. Limp. Titan froze. A tiny, sharp whimper broke out of him. Then he howled, A long, broken, ripping wail that filled the entire mine, like something inside him tore open. And he didn't stop. Not when the rescue team arrived. Not when they pulled Titan away. Not even when they carried Travis out under a sheet. Titan kept howling until his voice gave out, until he collapsed, until the world went dark for him too. People say Titan turned aggressive after that, but that's wrong. He didn't get mean. He got hollow. He wasn't attacking. He was remembering. And honestly, a creature with a broken heart is far more dangerous than a creature with sharp teeth. After the mine, after losing Travis in a way no creature should ever lose their person, Titan wasn't the same. And yeah, I know that sounds obvious, but no, really. You gotta understand what came next. The collapse broke his body that day, sure, but the nights broke everything else. Jackson Ridge looks peaceful from the outside, especially in winter. Those postcard mountains, that clean, sharp air, snow so quiet it feels sacred. People visit to ski, to drink hot cocoa, to feel alive. But for Titan, the mountains became a prison, a cold, echoing, pitch-black place where the past wouldn't shut up. Every night, every single night, something inside him snapped awake. Didn't matter if the station was dead silent or buzzing with late-shift chatter. Titan always jolted up like he'd been yanked out of a nightmare. Sometimes he'd gasp, sharp, sudden, like he'd been running in his sleep. Other times, it was quieter. A shiver that crawled from his paws to his spine until his whole body shook. And the wind. God, the wind didn't help. You know how Colorado wind is, right? That long, hollow howl rolling through the mountains. It sounds like the earth sighing, or crying, or something not human. Well, to Titan, that wind wasn't wind. That was Travis calling, over and over again. Titan, come here, buddy. Stay close, boy. Right behind you. Titan heard those lines every night. Not real ones, but the ones burned into him so deep they refused to fade. He'd shoot up in his pupil, kennel, tail stiff, pupils huge, like he could see Travis standing somewhere in the dark. Sometimes he'd trot in place, trying to follow him, trying to catch up to a ghost that refused to wait. Chief Hammond saw it once. Late shift. Around 3 a.m., he walked by Titan's kennel to check the heaters, and the dog was standing in the corner, just staring at nothing. Staring so hard, it looked like he expected the wall to speak back. Titan, Hammond whispered. Titan didn't blink, didn't move, didn't even seem awake. The chief said it scared him more than any growl ever had. And the noise, oh man, the noise. Titan didn't bark at night. No, not him. He made these low sounds, half whimpers, half breaths, like someone trying not to cry, but failing. Sometimes he'd scratch the concrete floor with one paw. Not aggressive, just slow, rhythmic. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Like he was digging again. like he was back in the mine, trying to save Travis, even though Travis wasn't there anymore. Officer Kelly recorded it once. She swore it wasn't random, said it sounded like he was digging with purpose, digging towards something, digging because his heart remembered what his brain couldn't let go, and honestly, she wasn't wrong. The other dogs didn't sleep either. The K9 wing had 10 kennels, 9 perfectly trained, obedient, focused dogs. But when Titan's PTSD kicked in, they felt it. A chain reaction. One would stand, another would whine, then another pacing, until the whole wing turned, restless, uneasy, like a storm was coming. Dogs know trauma, better than people sometimes, and Titan's trauma felt like thunder before it hits. Some nights, it got bad, like really bad. Titan would pant so hard it sounded like choking. His body would slam into the kennel walls. Not angry, just terrified. His claws left marks in the steel. His breath fogged the bars. He'd push his head through the gaps, muzzle denting the metal. It looked like he was trying to force his way out. Not to escape, but to get to someone. Someone he still believed needed him. The vets called it classic PTSD, but anyone who watched him knew it wasn't classic anything. This wasn't a disorder. This was grief, clawing its way out of an animal who didn't understand why the world took away the person he loved. And the worst part? Titan never made a sound loud enough to wake the officers. He kept it all inside until his own heart couldn't hold it anymore. That silence? It was the scariest thing about him. Mid-January hit, the coldest stretch of the year. The heaters hummed non-stop, yet the concrete still bit like ice. That night, Titan woke again, except this time, it didn't start with wind, or nightmares, or voices from memory. It started with nothing, a dead, empty quiet, the kind that makes your skin prickle even if you don't know why. Titan lifted his head slowly, ears high, nose twitching. He scanned the dark hallway, one slow movement at a time. He wasn't shaking, wasn't panicking. He was listening, really listening. And then he stood up. Not fast, not tense, just certain. Certain of what? Nobody knew. But he took one step forward and nudged the bars gently with his muzzle, like he was testing the world outside. Then he did something he hadn't done since the mine. He sat. Perfect posture. Perfect stillness. Eyes locked on the darkness at the far end of the hallway. Waiting. Listening. Like Travis might walk in at any second. It was the calm before something big, something none of them saw coming. Because Titan wasn't waiting for a ghost. He was waiting for someone real, someone tiny, soft-voiced, wearing a purple winter jacket and little boots that squeaked when she walked. And this is the part I want to ask you. If you were there, watching Titan stare down that dark hallway, would you think he was sensing danger or hope? After those nights when Titan just sat there, staring into the darkness, like he was waiting for a miracle or a ghost The station realized something. They were out of ideas, out of methods, out of hope. Well, almost. Because the next morning, right as frost on the windows began to melt, a man stepped into Jackson Ridge like he'd been dragged there by fate instead of orders. Ethan Ryder, K-9 specialist, 38 years old. A guy with tired eyes, a scruffy beard, and that strange mix of confidence and exhaustion only people who've seen too much tend to carry. He wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic. He just walked in with a duffel bag on his shoulder and said, "All right, where's the dog you think is impossible?" Chief Hammond smirked. "Oh, buddy, you have no idea," and led him down the long hallway toward Titan's wing. Ethan didn't talk much during the walk. He kept flipping through Titan's file. Meltdown reports, bite logs, failed handlers, medical notes about trauma nobody could fix. But then he hit one page, a single sheet, a photocopy, and he stopped walking. Chief Hammond turned. "You good?" Ethan didn't answer at first. He just stared at the paper, like it had punched him in the chest. It was a handwritten note. Not from a vet, not from a commander, not from any expert. It was from Travis Miller, Titan's handler, his partner, his everything. The note read, "Titan isn't the toughest dog I've known. He's the bravest soul with 4 legs. Agent Travis Miller." Ethan wasn't the emotional type. He'd trained dogs from war zones, dogs who'd seen cruelty, chaos, everything in between. He didn't cry easy, didn't flinch easy. But that line, yeah, it hit deep. Because years ago, before Titan, before Travis, Ethan had lost a K-9 partner too, a Belgian Malinois named Ranger, killed in a warehouse blast while saving Ethan's life. So when he saw that note, his voice cracked. "Damn," Ethan whispered. "They don't write stuff like this unless it's real." Hammond's tone softened. Travis and Titan were different. Ethan touched the page almost reverently. "And he wrote this before the mine collapsed?" "Yeah." "And Titan read this with his heart every single day of his life?" "Pretty much." Ethan closed the folder, and for the first time since stepping into Jackson Ridge, he looked genuinely unsure. "Chief, I don't know if I'm the guy for this. I mean, I don't want to break another dog, or watch another one fall apart." There it was. Honesty. Raw fear. The kind that comes from being hurt so many times that hope starts feeling like a trick. Hammond sighed. "You don't have to fix him forever. Just try." Ethan hesitated. "You said he attacked 5 handlers, right?" 6, actually." "Cool. Great. That helps." But he followed anyway. When they reached Titan's kennel, the hallway felt colder, still, like the air itself was watching. Titan wasn't pacing, wasn't growling. He lay there, head on his paws, ears half lifted like he was listening to something far away. Ethan stopped 10 feet away, didn't move, didn't speak. just looked at him, and Titan lifted his gaze, slow, heavy, wounded. It wasn't anger. It wasn't aggression. It wasn't even fear. It was emptiness. The kind that scares you because it means someone has nothing left to lose. Ethan whispered, barely audible, "Hey, big guy, I'm not here to take his place." Titan's ears twitched. Ethan continued, I don't know, man. I'm just here because someone's got to show you the world isn't done with you yet. And if you blinked, you would have missed it." But Titan's tail moved. Just once. Not a wag. Not excitement. Just acknowledgement. A spark. The smallest spark in the darkest room. But Ethan still wasn't convinced. After they left the wing, he leaned against the wall outside and let out this long, shaky laugh. "I must be out of my damn mind," he muttered. Hammond raised a brow. "So, you in?" Ethan rubbed his face. "I want to say no. Honestly, I do. I want to get in my truck, turn around, and pretend I never read that letter." He paused. But Travis saw something in Titan. Something real. Something rare. Another pause. "And maybe I want to see if that something's still there." Hammond grinned. "Good. Because starting tomorrow morning, Titan's yours." Ethan froze. "Wait. Mine as in... Mine? "Yep." Ethan groaned. "Oh, this is either gonna be the dumbest thing I've ever done, or maybe the one that saves us both." Hammond clapped him on the back. "Welcome to the fight, Ryder." And that's how the tiniest spark of hope entered Titan's world again. Not a miracle. Not magic. Just a man who was scared to try, but even more scared to walk away. Now tell me honestly, if you were Ethan, would you take that risk? Or would you have walked out and left Titan behind? After Ethan agreed, well, agreed is a strong word. It was more like he sighed deeply and whispered, "Fine, I'll try." And suddenly, the whole station felt different. Like maybe, just maybe, something was finally shifting in Titan's world. But no one expected what happened next. Least of all, Ethan. It happened 2 mornings later. The K9 wing was quiet, colder than usual, that strange mountain silence humming through the vents. Ethan stood outside Titan's kennel, coffee in one hand, leash in the other, mentally preparing himself for round 1 of trying not to lose a finger today. He took a deep breath. "All right, big guy. We're doing this, I think. Maybe. Hell, I don't know. Don't bite me." But before he could unlock the gate, a sound cut through the hallway. Not barking. Not growling. Not the metallic clang of Titan hitting the cage. It was laughing. A soft, high-pitched, warm giggle echoing down the corridor. Ethan blinked. What the? Who brings a kid into a federal facility? No Hammond in sight. No alarms going off. So Ethan stepped into the hallway and there she was, A little girl, 6 years old maybe. Bright blonde hair bouncing behind her, purple puffy jacket zipped to her chin, mittens clipped to her sleeves. Skipping. Actually skipping. Like she walked into Disneyland instead of the coldest, scariest part of Jackson Ridge Station. Behind her, breathless and panicking, came her mother. "Sweetheart! Mira! Mira, no! This area is off limits!" But the girl didn't stop. Time 300 pounds. She ran straight past Ethan, giggling harder, heading right toward Titan. Ethan froze. "Kid. Hey, hey. No, 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 huh? You cannot go that way." Too late. Mira stopped right in front of Titan's cage. And Titan, this giant, traumatized, half-feral creature, shot up from the floor so fast Ethan almost dropped his coffee. But he didn't growl, didn't slam into the bars, didn't bare his teeth. He just stood there, shaking, actually shaking, ears pinned back, tail low, chest rising fast, like he couldn't understand what he was seeing. Mira tilted her head, gave him this big, goofy smile. "Hi, puppy." Ethan felt every drop of blood leave his body. "Oh my God. No, 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 no." He lunged forward, gently pulling her back by the shoulders. Her mom, Rachel, finally reached them, breathless, mortified. I am so sorry. She slipped away while I was signing paperwork. Oh God, I'm so sorry." Ethan swallowed hard. It's fine, Ma'am, that's Titan. He's not a puppy, he's kinda known for trying to eat people." Rachel's face drained white. But Mira? She leaned sideways around Ethan, peeking at Titan. "He's not mean," she giggled. "He's sad." Titan lowered his head, eyes locked onto hers, like he recognized something he shouldn't be able to recognize. Ethan noticed it instantly. That look, that spark. Not recognition of a handler, not defense, it was memory. A memory that hurt. Rachel placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. "Honey, we need to let the officers work. Titan isn't like other dogs." But Mira shook her head, stubborn as only a child can be. "It's okay, Mommy. He knows me." Ethan blinked. What?" Mira pointed her mittened hand at Titan. "He looked at me like Daddy's dog used to." Rachel froze. The hallway went dead quiet. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Rachel knelt slowly. "Honey, what dog are you talking about?" "Daddy's dog. The big one. With the brown eyes. He used to lick my fingers through the fence." "'Member?" Rachel's voice trembled. "Mira, you were only 3. I didn't think you remembered any of that." Ethan felt the air shift, like the world held its breath. Rachel whispered, barely holding herself together. Travis had a K9 partner before he died." Her voice broke. "I never told Mira his name." Ethan whispered, "What was it?" Rachel swallowed. "Titan." Silence slammed into the hallway. Titan stepped forward, one trembling step, pressing his nose to the bars. Ethan whispered, barely breathing, "Holy hell." Mira giggled softly. "Told you. He knows me." Titan let out a sound no one had ever heard from him at Jackson Ridge. Not a growl, not a bark, a soft, broken whine. The sound of a soul remembering a little girl who once held his giant face and called him Titan because she couldn't pronounce Titan. Rachel covered her mouth, tears rising instantly. Oh God. Travis used to bring Titan home. He let Mira feed him treats through the fence. No wonder Ethan couldn't speak. He was staring at a dog who hadn't let a single human touch him in over a year, yet now trembled in gentle recognition of the child of the man he loved most. And Mira just stepped forward, smiling like sunshine breaking through winter frost. "Hi again, Titan." Titan collapsed onto his front legs, not in fear, not in stress, in surrender, in relief. The smallest miracle had just walked into his cage of darkness and somehow turned on the lights. So tell me, if you saw a 6-year-old walk right up to the scariest dog in the state, would your heart stop like Ethan's? Or would you trust that little kid magic, the way Mira did? Honestly, after what happened in the hallway, nobody really knew what to do next. Not Ethan, not Rachel, not Chief Hammond, and definitely not Titan, who was still frozen there, staring at Mira like she'd stepped out of a memory he thought he'd lost forever. So yeah, the whole station felt like it was balancing on this little fragile thread, and then that thread snapped, in the best way possible. Mira wasn't scared, not even a little. She stepped closer to Titan's kennel like it was the most normal thing in the world, like she hadn't just stared down the most unpredictable K9 in the state. "Mommy," she whispered, "he needs someone." Titan's ears twitched. That soft, involuntary, almost whine sound slipped out of him. Ethan muttered under his breath, "Oh, hell, this is happening." Rachel put a hand on Mira's shoulder. "Sweetheart, baby, maybe we should—" But Mira gently moved her mother's aunt away. "No, Mommy, I got this." She said it with that soft, slow confidence only children have, the kind that makes adults freeze. She walked right up to the bars. Titan didn't growl, didn't jerk back, didn't bare his teeth. Instead, he backed up half a step, like he was the one scared of her. Mira lifted her hand. Not fast, not dramatic, just a tiny little hand, fingers pink from the cold, palm open. "Hi again, Titan," she whispered. Ethan swallowed hard. Oh God, don't let him bite her. Please, please don't let this be the moment he... But Titan didn't move. He just stared at that tiny hand like it was something holy. You ever see a dog choose between fear and hope? It's heartbreaking. Their whole body shivers. Their eyes dart. They breathe like every inhale hurts. That was Titan. He crouched low, lowering his head close to the floor. His chest shook, like he wanted to step forward, but his body couldn't remember how. Mira didn't push. didn't lean in, didn't force anything. She whispered softly, "It's okay. Mommy says I'm gentle." And then, very slowly, very carefully, Titan stepped forward. One paw, then another. He leaned his huge head forward, close enough that his warm breath fogged the metal bars. Mira smiled. "You remember me," she whispered. Titan pressed his nose through the gap, then stopped, waiting. It was like he was asking permission. This deadly, broken, battle-scarred dog, asking a 6-year-old if she was sure. Mira placed her hand on the bars, not reaching, just waiting. And Titan. God. Titan did something none of them had ever seen before. He moved his muzzle forward, slow, shaking, and rested it gently, gently, into her palm. The whole station gasped. Ethan covered his mouth. Rachel burst into tears. Chief Hammond froze mid-step. But Titan didn't notice any of them. He was too busy braking. Because the second Mira's fingers touched the top of his nose, his whole body sank to the floor. Not collapsing, not fainting, just letting go. A soft, strangled, shaking whine spilled out of him, the kind of sound a heart makes when it cracks open. Mira giggled softly. "You're warm," she whispered. "Daddy said you were warm." Titan squeezed his eyes shut, pushing harder into her palm, not just remembering, but begging to remember more. Rachel covered her mouth, voice trembling. Travis used to say that too. He told Mira, "Titan's the warmest place in the whole world." Titan whined again. Longer, rougher, breaking open at the edges. Ethan stepped back, whispering, "He's not aggressive. He's grieving." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. They were watching something impossible. A child healing a war-torn soul with nothing but a touch. Mira stroked his muzzle gently. "You don't have to be scared," she said. "I'm here. Mommy's here." Titan pressed harder, tail trembling on the floor, not wagging, shaking. Ethan wiped his face. "I'm not crying. Nope, it's the cold, or dust, or shut up." Titan finally opened his eyes, revealing something fierce and gentle all at once, like a storm calming down just long enough to show the sky behind it. Mira whispered, "Good boy, T-Tan." Titan let out a tiny broken huff, almost like a sob, and pushed his head deeper into her hand. In that moment, the monster of Jackson Ridge didn't exist anymore. There was only a dog and a child, time 300 mems, and a love that somehow survived 3 years of war, trauma, and death. So tell me, if you stood there in that hallway, watching the untouchable dog melt into a child's hand, would it break you too? Or would you call it fate doing something wild after that moment? Titan letting Mira touch him like she was the only safe thing left in his universe. Nothing in the K9 wing felt the same anymore. Not the air, not the silence, not Titan himself. It was like someone flipped a switch buried deep inside him, a switch nobody even knew was still there. The next morning, Ethan walked into the wing expecting the usual. Titan curled in the corner, refusing food, refusing water, refusing everything except the right to suffer. But not that day. Titan was sitting upright, alert, ears forward, like he was waiting, or someone. Ethan blinked. You good, big guy? Titan didn't growl, didn't slam the bars, didn't pace. He just stared at the hallway entrance, tail twitching like a cold engine trying to start. Ethan followed his gaze. Oh, you're waiting for her. Minutes later, Titan proved it. Because the moment Mira's tiny footsteps tapped down the hallway, barely audible, Titan stood up so fast he smacked his head into the bars. He didn't bark, didn't growl, didn't thrash. He just vibrated. Like every nerve in his body suddenly turned into static electricity. Mira appeared, purple jacket half-zipped, blonde hair wild, the look of a kid who definitely refused to let her mom brush it. "Hi, Titan," she chirped. Titan's tail thumped, not a gentle tap, a thud, thud, thud that echoed off the concrete. Ethan nearly dropped his clipboard. "Holy, he's wagging." Rachel gasped. "Oh my God. Travis always said Titan never wagged unless he was really, really happy." Titan pressed his nose through the bars, letting out a whine, not the broken, grieving one from before. This one sounded almost embarrassed, hopeful, like joy was something he forgot how to control. Mira placed her hand on the bars, and Titan melted. Just folded into the touch, like he'd waited 3 years for this kid to come back and remind him he wasn't alone. Ethan leaned in and whispered to Rachel, "This dog was ready to be put down last week. Now look at him." Rachel wiped her tears. "I don't think he ever stopped loving her. He just forgot how." Things changed fast after that. Titan started eating again. Not a lot at first. Just a few bites. Whenever Mira was around. Rachel tried. Ethan tried. Chief Hammond even tossed treats through the bars like he was feeding a zoo lion. Nothing. But the second Mira said, "Good boy, Titan." Titan inhaled the food like he hadn't eaten in a year. Ethan groaned. "Man, I should be offended, but honestly, I'll take it." Titan also started sleeping again. Not the twitchy, nightmare-ridden sleep. Peaceful, slow breathing, no kicking, no whimpering. But only, when Mira sat beside his kennel, humming some off-key little tune. Ethan whispered, "Kid, what song is that?" Mira shrugged. "I don't know. Daddy used to hum it when I was tiny." Rachel's breath caught. Titan, eyes half closed, let out a low rumble. Something between a sigh and gratitude. But the hardest thing to watch wasn't Titan relying on Mira. It was what happened when she wasn't there. The first time Mira skipped a visit, snowstorm, roads closed. Titan spiraled. He paced, scratched at the metal, whined so loud it rattled the vents. Then the sound changed. Not a whine, a howl. Long, desperate, heart-destroying. It echoed down the hall like something ancient and wounded had been abandoned all over again. Ethan sat beside the kennel, trying to keep him steady. Hey, it's okay, buddy. She'll be back. She didn't leave you. Not like... He stopped himself. Titan slumped, trembling. Ethan rested a hand on the bars. Man, she's the only person on this planet you trust anymore, isn't she? Ooh. Titan closed his eyes, like trying to forget the empty hallway. But when Mira returned the next day, you'd swear Titan was going to tear the building apart with happiness. He didn't bark, didn't jump. He just ran to the front of the kennel, tail wagging so hard his whole back half shook like a busted washing machine. Mira laughed. Tan! I told you I'd come back. Titan shoved his muzzle through the bars. Ethan panicked. But then Titan just rested there, still, calm, trusting, like her hand was the only anchor keeping him from sinking. Rachel whispered, "He's choosing us." Ethan shook his head. "No, ma'am. He's choosing her." And the wildest part? It wasn't dramatic. No explosions. No heroic music. No perfect storyline. Just a traumatized dog who finally remembered what love felt like, and a little girl who never stopped believing he was good. Let me ask you, if you saw this big, broken canine wag his tail just because a kid smiled at him, would it hit you in the chest too? Or am I just being soft today? After watching Titan practically glue his face to the bars every time Mira walked in, Ethan couldn't shake this itch. Not a bad itch. Just that strange, nagging feeling that something wasn't adding up. Sure, Titan remembered the girl. Sure, he acted like she was the last warm thing left in his world. But the way he reacted? It wasn't just recognition. It was devotion. Deep, bone-deep devotion. The kind that doesn't come from one or two childhood visits. No. This felt bigger, older, like this connection started long before anyone realized. And that thought stuck in Ethan's mind like a splinter. So one night, after the station went quiet, that eerie mountain station quiet, Ethan grabbed Titan's old storage boxes, dusty bins, faded labels, stuff nobody had looked at since Titan got transferred to Jackson Ridge. He dragged them into his office, flicked on the crappy desk lamp, and muttered, "All right, big guy. Let's see what secrets you've been keeping." Training logs, commendation ribbons, worn-out leashes, a chewed-up Kong toy Titan had clearly tried to murder. Nothing unusual. Until Ethan found a thick folder labeled Evans, T. Personal. Ethan froze. "You've got to be kidding me." He opened it, and the very first thing inside was a photograph. Ethan's throat closed up. It wasn't dramatic, not posed. Just a candid moment someone must have snapped without thinking. Travis Evans, the man Titan loved, the man Titan lost, sat on a porch, young, smiling, sunlight kissing his face. In his arms, a baby, A tiny girl with blonde curls and chubby hands reaching for the camera. And right next to them, Titan, younger, no scars, eyes bright, chest puffed like he was guarding the whole world. He wasn't just posing, he was watching her with that intense, protective, this is mine to protect kind of gaze. Ethan whispered, "Oh my God." He flipped the photo. On the back, in Travis's handwriting, Mira, 11 months old. Titan never leaves her side. Ethan sat back, stunned. Titan didn't just know Mira. He'd protected her, practically raised her. Crawling baby? Titan was there. Toddling around the porch? Titan was there. Napping in her crib? Titan probably slept underneath it. Mira wasn't just some kid. She was his kid. The last piece of the family he lost. His final duty. The one mission he never got to finish. Ethan whispered, "Big guy, you weren't just grieving Travis. You were grieving her too." The next morning, Ethan skipped coffee entirely. He walked straight into the K-9 wing with the photo in hand. Titan was already awake, already waiting. But when he saw the picture, he froze, completely, like the world hit pause. Ethan crouched near the bars and slid the photo down to him. "You remember this, don't you?" Titan sniffed it, hard. Then again, slower, deeper. His ears fell back. His chest trembled, and he sat down. Not in fear, not in confusion, but in recognition. A soft, shaky sound left him. Not a whine, not a growl. Something in between. A sound that said, "I never forgot. I never could." Rachel stepped in, Mira's jacket in her hands. "Ethan, what's going?" He handed her the photo. Rachel's breath caught. "Oh my God." Tears rose instantly. This was Cheyenne. Travis took this the day Titan got certified. He said Titan followed Mira everywhere, like a second shadow. She knelt beside Titan, touching his muzzle through the bars. "No wonder you broke when he died," she whispered. "You didn't just lose your partner. You lost your whole family." Titan leaned into her touch. Gentle, slow, almost ashamed, like he didn't know he was allowed to grieve. Mira's tiny boots squeaked as she ran down the hall. "Mommy, Titan!" Titan shot up like someone injected sunlight directly into his heart. Mira hugged the bars. "You okay?" Titan didn't wag this time. He stepped forward and rested his entire head against the bars, right where Mira's chest was. Like he remembered holding her there when she was just a baby. Rachel wiped her eyes. "He's been protecting you since before you could walk, sweetheart." Mira touched Titan's cheek. "I remember his eyes," she whispered. "Even when I was little, they felt safe." Titan exhaled. Long, deep, heavy. A sound that felt like closure, heartbreak, and home all at once. Ethan murmured, "This wasn't coincidence. This was fate." circling back. After Ethan uncovered that photo, the one showing Titan guarding baby Mira like a tiny, chubby-cheeked princess, something changed in all of them. It wasn't just emotional anymore. It felt cosmic. Like fate had been circling them for years, and finally slammed its fist on the table saying, "It's time." But fate didn't whisper its next move. It roared. The storm rolled in fast, like way too fast. Colorado storms are weird already, but this one came in angry, wind howling, snow slicing sideways, sky turning a steel gray that made everyone murmur, "Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be outside right now." Inside the K9 wing, Titan's ears twitched before the first thunder even hit. Ethan saw it instantly. Titan's posture stiffening, breathing changing, that old panic crawling up from a place inside him that never healed. Hey, relax, big guy," Ethan whispered. "It's just a storm, just noise." But Titan wasn't hearing him. His eyes weren't in the kennel anymore. They were back in the mine in Wyoming, back under rubble, back with Travis dying inches from him. Snow punched the windows. Thunder cracked so loud the whole building shook, and Titan broke, not with rage, with terror. Titan slammed his body into the door, hard. Ethan jumped back. "Titan, no! Stop! Stop!" But Titan wasn't listening. He hit the bars again, and again, and again. Metal groaned. Screws ripped loose. The lock bent at an angle no lock should bend. "Chief, I need help!" Ethan yelled. But the storm swallowed his voice whole. One more slam, a crack like a gunshot, and the gate flew open. Titan shot into the hallway, claws scraping, not running from fear, running toward something. Meanwhile, Rachel and Mira crawled along the mountain road, car barely moving through a wall of sideways snow. "Mommy, I can't see the trees anymore," Mira whispered. Rachel forced a calm smile. "It's okay, honey. We're almost—" The car jolted, sputtered, and died. "No, no, no, not now. Please, come on." Nothing, not even a cough. The storm roared harder, like it wanted to swallow them whole. Mira pressed her tiny hands to the window. "Mommy." "What, sweetheart?" "Titan is calling me." Rachel froze. "Mira, honey, you're scared. Titan isn't—" But Mira shook her head hard. "No, I heard him. I felt him. He's close." And suddenly, Rachel remembered. Travis once said Titan could sense Mira crying before any human ear heard a thing. Rachel whispered, "Oh God, please don't let this be happening." Back at the station, Titan tore through the halls like a ghost with purpose. Snow blasted in through the back door. Someone had left it cracked, and Titan leapt straight into the storm. "Titan, stop!" Ethan screamed. Too late. Titan wasn't running blindly. He was running home, running to her. In the storm, Mira pressed her face to the window, fogging the glass. "Mommy, he's scared. He's sad. He's looking for me." Thunder cracked. followed by a howl so deep it cut the storm in half. Rachel's voice broke. "No, no, that can't," Mira screamed. "That's him! Mommy, that's Titan!" Mira shoved the door open. Freezing wind blasted in. "Mira!" Rachel cried, grabbing for her jacket. But the girl slipped free, boots hitting the ice. "Titan!" she screamed into the whiteout. Another howl answered, closer, stronger. Through the swirling snow, a massive shape appeared, charging, shoulders heaving, eyes glowing gold. Titan, not running from fear, running to protect the last piece of Travis he had left. He slid across the snow, bracing himself, planting his body between Mira and the forest like a living shield. Rachel collapsed to her knees. "Oh my God!" Mira ran to him, no hesitation. "Tan!" Titan lowered his head, pressing his forehead into her chest, releasing a desperate, shaking cry. Not fear, not pain, recognition, devotion, love. The storm raged around them, but Titan didn't move. He guarded Mira like every moment of trauma, every nightmare, every wound had led him right here, protecting the child he never stopped watching over. After Titan burst through that blizzard and planted himself between Mira and the storm, you'd think the worst was over, right? Like fate had done its big, dramatic reveal, and now everyone could go home. Yeah. No. Not even close. Because the mountain had one more move, and it was the kind of move that doesn't ask permission. The wind shifted, hard, like a fist punching across the ridge. Snow blasted sideways, slamming into all of them so violently, Rachel nearly lost her balance again. Titan pressed harder against Mira, bracing her tiny body against the screaming gust. "Mommy!" Mira cried. "I'm here, baby!" Rachel shouted, stumbling forward. But the ground wasn't. The snow beneath their boots made a sound, a groan, faint, like a soft crack beneath all the wind. Titan's ears shot straight up. He heard it first. "Rachel, move!" Ethan's voice tore down the trail, flashlight bouncing wildly in his hand. But it was too late. The ridge edge fractured, a long, thin line, then the ground gave way. Mira screamed as the snow beneath her exploded downward, like the earth had been yanked out from under her. "No! Mira!" Rachel lunged, but the wind shoved her sideways, fingers scraping empty air. Mira fell, down, fast, toward jagged ice and rocks below. Rachel's scream didn't just break the air. It tore open her soul, but Titan didn't think. He jumped, launched himself off the collapsing ridge like he had trained his whole life for this exact second. "Mira, grab something!" Ethan yelled, sprinting through the storm. Mira fell backward, arms flailing, boots slipping on the icy wall. Titan reached her midair. His jaws clamped onto the back of her coat, right between her shoulders, strong enough to hold, gentle enough not to hurt. They hit the side of the slope together. Hard. Snow blasted upward. Ice sliced Titan's shoulder, but he didn't let go. He hooked his claws into the ledge, trying to dig in, but the ice crumbled under him, sending shards of snow tumbling down. Mira cried, clutching fistfuls of Titan's fur. "Tan, don't let go, please don't let go!" Titan growled through the fabric. Not anger, determination. A low, rumbling, "I've got you" kind of growl. Rachel dropped flat on her stomach, reaching down, fingers grabbing nothing but cold air. "Titan! Mira! Hold on!" Ethan skidded beside her, grabbing her jacket before she slipped too. Titan kicked again, claws tearing bloody streaks in the ice. He was slipping, inch by inch, and the drop below them? Not survivable. "Come on, boy, come on," Ethan whispered, voice shaking. Then, because the universe apparently wanted to make the moment worse, a massive pine tree, loosened by the storm, finally snapped at its base. Rachel saw it first. "Look out!" The tree fell toward the slope, straight toward Titan. Titan turned just in time. The trunk slammed into his side. The impact shook the ledge. Titan yelped, a sharp guttural cry that ripped through the storm. "No!" Mira sobbed. "Titan, don't go! Don't leave me like Daddy!" Titan's legs buckled. His grip slipped 3 inches, ice breaking beneath him like sand. But when Mira screamed those words, something snapped inside him. Something deep, old, burning. Titan planted his paws, ignoring the blood dripping from them. He bit harder into Mira's coat. Not to hurt, but to hold. To hold with everything he had left. He dug in again. This time, his claws caught. Rachel leaned down as far as she could. "Mira, baby, reach for me!" Titan heaved upward, muscles shaking, ribs trembling under the fallen tree's weight. Ethan anchored Rachel with one hand and shouted, "Titan, you can do this, buddy. Come on!" Titan pulled. Every inch was war. Snow collapsed. Blood streaked the ice. But Titan kept pulling. Again. 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 Mira lifted, just enough for Rachel to grab her sleeve. "I got her!" Rachel screamed, voice breaking. Titan jerked one final time, and Rachel hauled Mira back onto the ridge. But Titan didn't climb up. He collapsed. The fallen tree pinning his back leg, snow soaking into his fur. Ethan didn't hesitate. He slid down the slope. "Titan! Titan!" Titan let out a soft, broken exhale, like he was apologizing for being tired. Ethan lifted, him under the chest, dragging him upward. "Don't you quit on me, soldier. Not now." Rachel grabbed Titan's collar, helping pull. Together, they dragged him over the ledge. Titan's body hit the ground, blood smearing across perfect white snow. Mira broke free from Rachel, throwing herself onto Titan's chest. "Tan, you saved me! You saved me again!" Titan struggled to lift his head, just for her. His nose brushed her cheek. A slow wag, barely there, moved the tip of his tail. Then his eyes shut, and he went still. "Mommy!" Mira screamed. "He's not moving!" Rachel sobbed. Ethan shook. Snow kept falling. Titan lay in the center of it, bleeding, unmoving, a hero who gave everything he had left. "Tell me honestly, what would you have done in that moment?" A. Screamed like Rachel? B. Jumped like Ethan? Or C. Froze in shock? After the mountain stole Titan's strength and left him bleeding in the snow, everything became a blur. The storm wasn't even done, but nobody cared. Not Ethan, not Rachel, and definitely not Mira, who refused to let go of Titan's fur, even as her tiny hands trembled so violently she could barely keep her fingers straight. The drive to the emergency clinic was chaos. Sirens slicing through the storm, Ethan shouting into the radio, Rachel crying so hard she couldn't breathe right. Mira sat hunched over Titan's neck, whispering things no child should ever have to say. Please stay. Please stay. I'm right here. Don't leave me. Okay? Titan didn't move, didn't twitch, didn't breathe in any way a human eye could see. When they burst into the clinic, the vet team didn't waste a second. They slid Titan onto a gurney, tubes everywhere, blood dripping off the metal edge in tiny red beads. Dr. Landis, tough, seasoned, the kind of woman who'd treated wolves and bears, took one look and gasped, "Get him on the table, now!" The nurses sprinted him into surgery. Rachel staggered after them, but when Ethan tried to hold Mira back, she fought him hard. "No! I'm going with him! I have to go with him!" "Baby, you can't!" Rachel cried. "I have to!" Her scream cracked the hallway in half. Dr. Landis opened the OR door, eyes sharp, voice firm. "If she stays in the corner and doesn't touch anything, fine, bring her." And just like that, a 6-year-old walked into a room grown men were terrified to enter. Titan lay, beneath harsh surgical lights, fur shaved, blood warming in a machine beside him. His chest barely moved. A monitor beeped. Slow, uneven. Beep. Beep, Dr. Landis muttered. "Come on, boy. You've survived worse." But her eyes said the truth. He was slipping. Someone pulled over a little red stool. Mira climbed up, hands shaking, and touched just the tips of Titan's paw. So gentle, it was like she feared he might break. "Titan? Hey, it's me. It's Mira." Titan didn't move. The monitors slowed. Beep, beep. Rachel covered her mouth. Ethan gripped the table. Dr. Landis whispered, "If he doesn't stabilize soon, we're going to lose him." Mira's tears hit Titan's fur. Then she said it. The words that punched every adult straight in the chest. Daddy said you always come back to me, even when the world is scary, even when everybody is gone." Her voice shattered. "So please, please, Titan, don't break Daddy's promise." The room froze. Even the storm outside paused. Titan didn't move. The monitor dropped to a flat line. For half a second, a horrible, suffocating, impossible second. Rachel screamed. Ethan slammed his palm on the table. Dr. Landis reached for the defibrillator. But Mira leaned forward, whispering, "Titan, I need you." A tear slid down her cheek and landed right on Titan's nose. Then, a twitch. So small, Ethan almost doubted it. Titan's paw moved, just a little. Mira gasped. "Mommy, he moved! He moved!" Dr. Landis froze. Her eyes snapped to the monitor. The flat line flickered. Once, twice, then beep, weak, but alive. Another beep, faster, stronger. Rachel sobbed. Ethan let out a broken, disbelieving laugh, covering his face with both hands. Titan's chest rose, faint, but real. Dr. Landis whispered, I didn't do that. That wasn't the medication. That wasn't the adrenaline." Her eyes softened toward Mira. "That was her." Mira pressed her forehead to Titan's. "I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere. Not ever." Titan's tail moved. Just once. But once was enough. A tiny thump. That sounded like thunder inside that silent room. Rachel cried into her hands. Ethan turned away, eyes full. And Titan kept breathing. Stronger, steadier, like his heart finally remembered why it needed to keep going. After that night in the emergency clinic, after Titan's heart somehow listened to Mira's voice and decided, "Yeah, okay, I'm not done yet." Everything shifted. Slowly at first, then all at once. And 2 months later, nobody in Jackson Ridge could have predicted what they were about to witness. Snow blanketed the town square, like someone had dusted powdered sugar over every rooftop and railing. Christmas lights still hung from the lampposts, even though the holidays were long gone. The cold didn't bite today. It settled. Soft, quiet, peaceful. A perfect morning for something big. Ethan stood near the stage, rubbing his hands together, cheeks red from the cold. "Man, I still can't believe this," he muttered. Rachel smiled beside him. "I can. He earned it." Reporters, officers, families, half the town, all gathered in the snow, waiting for a hero. And little Mira, tiny Mira with her purple jacket and wild blonde curls, held her breath. Her mittened hands squeezed together, turning white from the pressure. She knew who was about to walk out. Then, from behind the stage curtain, a figure stepped forward. 4 legs, golden brown fur, ears sharp, tail steady. Titan. Except not the Titan who bled through the snow with death chasing his heels. This Titan was whole, strong, bright, standing tall like he finally remembered exactly who he was meant to be. His coat shimmered in the pale sun. The new silver K9 medal on his collar flashed each time he moved. The crowd gasped. Someone whispered, "That's the Jackson Ridge Miracle Dog." But Titan didn't care about the crowd. His eyes scanned the people until they landed on her. Mira. And the second he saw her, his tail wagged, hard, like nothing else in the world existed except the little girl who brought him back from the edge. Mira squealed and ran forward, but Rachel caught her shoulder gently. "Wait, honey. Let him come to you." She didn't wait long. Titan stepped down from the stage, slow, steady, proud, and marched straight toward Mira, ignoring cameras, ignoring applause, ignoring the mayor. He nudged her chest with his head. She giggled. "Titan!" Titan leaned in harder. Mira wrapped her little arms around his neck like she'd been doing it her entire life. Chief Hammond stepped to the microphone. "Titan Miller, named in honor of Agent Travis Miller. This town recognizes your bravery, your loyalty, and your sacrifice." Rachel swallowed a sob. Ethan blinked fast, looking at his boots. "Today," Hammond continued, "we present you with the Colorado Medal of Valor, awarded only to the bravest of our K-9 officers." A cheer erupted across the square. People clapped, whistled, wiped tears they pretended were because of the cold. Titan lowered his head as the medal was placed around his neck, like he understood. Not fame, not praise. Closure. A new beginning. Mira tugged his face gently, making him look at her. "Hey, you're home now." Titan closed his eyes and pressed his forehead to hers. Rachel whispered, voice cracking, "Travis would be so damn proud." Ethan nodded softly. "He would. No question." Slowly, the crowd drifted away, but Titan stayed, standing with Mira in the center of the quiet, snow-covered square, like he was soaking in every sound, every scent, every heartbeat. Mira plopped down into the snow, not caring her pants got soaked, and Titan flopped beside her. She giggled. "You're silly." Titan sighed, resting his head on her lap. She stroked his fur, slow and gentle. "Welcome home, Titan. Daddy said you'd always come back, and you did." Titan's breathing slowed. Snowflakes melted on his warm fur. The world went quiet, peaceful in a way he hadn't felt since Wyoming. He nudged her hand one more time before closing his eyes. Not from exhaustion, but peace. Real peace. The kind that only comes when a broken soul finally finds where it belongs. A family. A purpose. A home. Mira leaned her cheek on his head, whispering, "You're safe now. We're your family." And Titan, hero, survivor, protector, exhaled softly, letting go of every nightmare he had ever carried. Because for the first time in a long, long time, he wasn't just living, he was home.